Hello, everybody. I'm Ricky Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, we're all about highlighting, inspiring people, engaging topics, and small businesses that need to be highlighted. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. You don't want to miss a thing. Okay, so all of us have been there, right? We do all the things that we do in a day. We go in and out of buildings, we're in and out of school, we go to classrooms, we do all the things that need to be done. But have you ever thought about the people who may not be able to do it in the same way? What about the kids? Today, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who's going to tell us some really amazing information about being inclusive, about his beautiful daughter, and the struggle and fight that he's had to deal with to get her included. Everybody, please say hello to Aaron DeVries. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, Aaron, did I say your last name correctly?
No, DeVries,
Boo!
Febreze,
Say it again for me.
DeVries, like Febreze.
DeVries. Oh, like
Yeah.
Febreze with a D.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All
Welcome
good.
to the show, Aaron. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
No problem. So, you heard in the intro, all the things that we're going to talk about today is about your beautiful daughter and the things that you've had to go through for her. Before we get started, Aaron, tell us a little bit about what you're doing and where you're located.
Sure. I'm located in Austin, Minnesota. That's the home of Hormel, where they make spam. So if you ever want to come visit, you can come visit the Spam Museum. I'm here in our hometown, so that's where I'm located. A little bit about my story is I have two children, a son and then my daughter. I'm 22 and 21. So I got into the inclusive dad stuff when my daughter was born. Just didn't know anything about the disability special education piece. So that's kind of a brief synopsis of how I got started in this area.
Wow. So it's the special needs area. Now, we have a lot of folks that watch who are special needs parents and probably have had to go through a lot of the same issues you did to get their kids into the special needs program or the classrooms. What are some of the first issues that you ran into that really got you up and moving in this area?
Sure. I mean, like I said, it was my first introduction into the area. I didn't know anything about it. When I think back on my childhood, I don't recall seeing anybody in a wheelchair, running across anybody that, I mean, I was told had a disability. I mean, I'm sure there was people, I just don't remember them. So my daughter was
Sure.
born, didn't know anything about it. So as a parent, our son was born 15 months prior, and he didn't have any, unique needs. So our my experience with parenting was with him. My
Mhm.
daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy at 3 months old, so
Wow.
whole different world. So you kind of, as a parent, I relied on the medical professionals, the school professionals, to tell us
Right.
what we should know. So she
Mhm.
got into the early childhood stuff. When she went to kindergarten, she was sent to the place for her across town.
Wow.
She uses a wheelchair. She has epilepsy. Um,
Mhm.
had cataracts removed when she was younger, so she's got multiple needs. So that's where the
Mhm.
program was for her. So we just went along
Right.
with it. Found out later about inclusion, where she could be in the general education room. So
Mhm.
once once we found out about that, that's when I started, researching. I mean, what can she, where can she be? What are the options?
Right.
And started, the push, the fight to get her back in the general education setting. And kind of once
Mhm.
you're in our experience, once she was out of the general education setting, trying to get her back in was
Right.
harder, because now there's these artificial like hoops you got to jump through that aren't there normally to get her to prove she
Mhm.
can come back into it. So I mean, that
Yeah.
was really the first thing that kind of opened my eyes to, like, whoa, there's other ways to do it. I mean, not
Mhm.
they don't tell you everything. Some of it, I don't think it's on purpose. It's just, I mean,
Really?
their experience. This works best for a different child. Kind of
Sure.
apply that to your child based on the needs, but I mean, that doesn't always
Mhm.
mean that's the best spot for them. And I mean,
Yeah.
the parents have to research it, and figure out what they
Hmm.
want, what's best for their family, and go for it. So
Yeah, that's really the hard part is there isn't anyone, there isn't an agency, if you will, that tells you, hey, this is where you start. This is what you need to
right,
do. You literally have to find this stuff out on your own.
right.
And of course, I'm sure the resources were just everywhere. So research was easy, right?
I mean, there are resources out there, but as a parent, like I said, you trust them. And then with our
Yeah.
daughter with the epilepsy, there's so much stuff going on. So I mean,
Hmm.
there's only so much time in the day, so you got to figure out for yourself like what is the most important. And I
Right.
mean, when she's having seizures, 90-minute grand mal seizures, being flown via helicopter to hospitals. I mean, that
Oh, wow.
obviously takes precedence over the school stuff. So then, I mean, it kind
Sure.
of slips by until something comes up, and you're like, oh, okay, let's figure this out and that
Hmm.
part. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, it was a
Wow.
lot to try to navigate.
I'm sure there is. Where did you find your support? Because I'm sure even in, the hometown of Spam, you weren't the only parent, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if it's everywhere, but in our town for sure, like the school, I don't think any of it's really on purpose, but the
Hmm.
parents have a hard, the school doesn't tell you who the other parents are. So
Oh,
you
right.
kind of got to find them yourself. So a
Hmm.
big thing for us was it was more statewide. We did stuff with the Epilepsy Foundation of Minnesota. So other families,
Hmm.
have had children with seizures. That was a big one for me.
Right. That's awesome.
Someplace like, I'm gonna date myself, but like Cheers, where you can just go in and everybody knows your name, and
Sure.
you don't have to like explain your story because everybody gets it, and you don't have to do that. So that was
Yeah.
a great spot for us to just
Hmm.
be able to go there and hang out and not have
Hmm.
to explain all the stuff that you
The
have
ins
to.
and outs.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
good.
So how was your daughter received in these different areas when she went in? Was she nervous as well? Because she had never had to deal with this herself, and here you are. You're like,
Right.
sweetie, dad's gonna fix it for you. How was she with all of that?
That's a great question. I hmm. I mean, she definitely gets anxious sometimes. I don't know
Hmm.
if it's directly related to, like moving from one classroom to another. I mean,
Hmm.
she's a people person. She loves being around people, loves if people, show her respect and engage with
Hmm.
her. She's all about it. And like, I mean, and as a parent, I found like I mean, maybe it's an adult thing, but I focus on the stuff that, I mean, it matters, but not the stuff that truly it matters, where she's more in the
Hmm.
moment, just being pure her, like loving life and that part of it. So
Yeah.
I see her, the one big example is like, cause she goes to church, she just loves singing. She'll just like belt out the songs, not care what it sounds like. Whereas me, I'm
Hey.
like more, if I start singing, I'm listening like, oh, does this sound good? And I, overthink it. She's just pure worship,
Pure
doesn't care what
joy.
people think. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But isn't that the way it ought to be? That
it
is
should be.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now you're called the inclusive dad. Why that particular moniker?
I mean, I'm big on the inclusion piece. I've done a TEDx talk on inclusion, about to do.
Hmm.
Probably by the time this comes out, I'll have my second one. I'm going to be doing
Wow.
next week, so I'll have my
Hmm.
second TEDx talk I've done. I've got inclusion tattooed on my arm, so I'm all
Right.
in on inclusion, and I just liked how that sounded. I'm first of all a dad, and the inclusion piece in there, so just wanting to
Yeah.
represent that part of it.
Hmm. Now, we had a conversation a couple of weeks or so before, and you were telling me about a school that was being built that you had to kind of step in on. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So that, yeah, my daughter, when she was going to either fifth or sixth grade, they were building a new school in our town. And when I went to the, like, they were going around to the parents, like, meetings, presenting the school, showing the blueprint and stuff. And I was sitting there and saw on the blueprint, there was a door labeled special education entrance. So I was like, that seems weird. We're in
Hmm.
2012, 2013. This is way after ADA. I mean, way
Hmm.
after anything that should, flag this. Subsequently had conversations with the principal. Actually, I checked this again yesterday. I still have the emails, where I had
Hmm.
to talk with the principal, trying to convince them for my daughter to go through the main door. They
Wow.
had concerns about, excuse me, they said safety, but It just, to me, I mean, we go out to Walmart, there's not a separate door for her to go in with her wheelchair. There's not any separate doors anywhere. So, I mean, that's just the reality of being in the community. We need to, at the school, there shouldn't be a separate door for her to go in. She needs to
Wow.
learn how to like navigate all the people and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, we had that experience, the same building. I was involved in meetings with the architects to make sure that it was accessible. They built the school.
Mhm.
They assured me it was going to be accessible. Found out in the technology room that they didn't have accessible desks, so I had to meet with
Wow.
the school for them to modify the desks after they had already bought brand new desks. So, like I said, that
Mhm.
was like 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. So, way after ADA, way after those laws are in place.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
something I wasn't expecting, but that's definitely something we've experienced. So,
But how great that you did see it and that you did get involved. I'm wondering how many parents see it and don't get involved. Either
right.
they don't know they can, they don't know they should, or they just don't know how. So, Aaron, like for parents that are listening to you right now who have these special needs kids and they really want to get involved, but they don't know what to do, what kind of information would you give to them?
I mean, my first tip is just like if you as a parent, if something like your kid says something to you, you notice something that just doesn't feel right in your gut. I mean, ask
Mm-hmm.
questions, look into it. I mean, I've found that I mean it to me it's either like people don't ask questions or
Mm-hmm.
in our situation too, we would bring up stuff and the school seemed
Right.
to, put out the fire for us with us and then not make it more of a
Mm-hmm.
global change to like fix the problem.
Right.
So I think it kind of could be both where either parents aren't asking or they are and the school's just treating like putting that fire out and not fixing it. So
Mhm.
I would just,
Yeah.
if you have questions, ask questions. I mean, it's your child. If something doesn't seem right, I mean, ask the
Yeah.
questions. That doesn't mean you're going to get the answer that you want. I mean, don't just because you're asking for something too doesn't mean they're going to do it. So I mean, you need to
That's
have
true.
that, but you need to, as a parent, you're the expert on your child. You're with them more hours of the day than
Yeah.
school staff are. You're with them
Mhm.
your whole life. The school people are there during the school days. Some of them
Mhm.
just for that year. Some are like a paraprofessional might go with them multiple years, but you're the person that's the
Right.
steady fact in their life. So ask questions for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. What about state and local government? Because some of the questions that you ask are, really geared towards the schools. But in order to get like real change, should parents go to see these state and local meetings, government type deals?
Yes, I mean that make you can. It's at the school level. They have a
Mhm.
special education advisory council. I think that
Mhm.
is globally, so you can go there and meet with this, parents and school staff, talk about the special education there, work on it. I
Mhm.
did participate in Minnesota. There's a program called Partners in Policy Making. It's put on by the Minnesota Governor's Council on Disability. So that's like a
Okay.
9-month program where you go each month
Wow.
for 2 days, and like 1 month you learn about county
Mhm.
issues, then federal issues, school. So it was really good, and part of that is like going to the Capitol the minute like the state
Oh, wow.
capitol, meeting with
Mhm.
legislators. So that definitely is part of it. um
Mhm.
that part is, I mean, that's really intensive. You have to, go to the meetings. That to me
Yeah.
seems like sometimes like more of a slow change.
Mhm.
I kind of personally like just, trying to work with your child's team in the school to like try to, do that part. But definitely there
Right.
are opportunities for parents if you like more of the systems change, that the policy change where you
Mhm.
can, um, I mean, there's multiple in Minnesota for sure, like
Right.
Disability Day at the Capitol from different organizations where you can go and meet with your legislators and share your
Well,
story. I
that's
mean,
neat.
our short stories are very important. We need to share them
Yeah.
to the legislators so they
Mhm.
hear what's happening, like how the laws they're passing are affecting the families. Because
Yeah.
sometimes they have a certain intention and that's not how it's working. So they need to know how it is affecting us families. So
Right. That's interesting you said about the stories because I'm thinking of the parents who may be watching. You're like, well, your child has this, but you don't understand where my child is. Are the laws and things different per particular ability versus disability? Like your beautiful daughter, has epilepsy. Somebody else may have spinal bifida. Somebody else may be
Right.
quadriplegic. Are these laws differently set up for, or in the school? Are there different programs for the different disabilities that the children have? How does that work?
That's a great question. Under the federal law that the states have to follow, I think there's 13 categories you can qualify
Okay.
under special education. So depending on like my daughter, like I said, there's different categories like autism, learning disabilities, speech, different sections. So
Right.
for me, like in order to get the services, you have to qualify under one of those categories. And then after that, I mean, you have access to all the different services. So as long as you can qualify under one of those. So like my daughter qualified under multiple, like she's got multiple categories she can qualify. But once she's
Right.
in there, then she has access to all the services that are available.
I see.
I mean, if the child has autism, I mean, they can, if they meet the criteria, they qualify, they'd have access to the services. I mean, they might need different like supports and stuff in school
Sure.
than my daughter does, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of once you're in there, they can get access
Yeah.
to the same services, at least at the school level.
Wow. That's interesting. That brings up my one last question that in my mind. The expense of the thing. Is there a charge for these services in the schools? Or is there something that the parents are responsible for in the ways monetarily?
No, there isn't, because under the law, the children with disabilities are off, or they're they can have a free appropriate public education. So that's the free part of
Okay.
it. So it's something that they have to be provided at no expense
Mm-hmm.
to the family. So no, there's not a piece in the school system, at least, where they have to pay for it, which
I
is good.
see. I see. Yeah, that's huge. That's something I've always wondered. Now, Erin, you have so much information here. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you or continue this conversation, where's the best place for them to find you?
Sure. You can, take your camera on the QR code to go to my link tree to get contact with me there. Otherwise, my website is theinclusivedad.com. And on there, there's a spot where you can click on the IEP consulting, where it will bring you to a page that has like a freebie where you can sign up, and I'll send you email with some questions you can ask your
Oh,
school how inclusive they are. That's
mhm.
on there. There's links to book a call with me. I have embedded my TEDx talk is on the front page. So if you haven't seen that and want to watch that, you can watch that as well. So that's the
Awesome.
best way to get a hold of me.
No worries. Y'all, if you didn't get that information, don't worry. Everything that he just said and other contact stuff is going to be in the description below, to include his TED Talk, because it's really, really interesting. And don't forget, while you're here, like, subscribe, and share our content, as well as like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. Aaron, my friend, before I let you go, we got to play a game.
Okay.
All right. So this game is called This or That. It's pretty simple. I'm going to give you the choice of a couple things, and you just tell me which one you like the best. Are
Okay.
you ready to play, sir?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. All right. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
I'm surprised, I think. I don't know why. I
Surprise.
have very few men who say that they like cats.
Well,
Wow.
my girlfriend has two cats, and so she
Uh,
brought them into my life, so they're kind of I like them now.
I
I
get
didn't grow up with any pets. We didn't have any pets in my family home
okay.
growing up, so
Mhm.
yeah. So
I see.
I like cats.
Cats, that's interesting. Okay. Read the book or see the movie?
Um, ooh, I would say read the book, and my thing is if I read the book, I can't watch the movie because they don't like sync up, and then
Yeah.
I get mad, so I read the book.
See, I do both. I read the book and then I'll go see
Okay,
the movie. I don't know. It's just how I am. Okay. Dressing up or dressing down?
dressing down.
Morning person or night owl?
Now I'm more of a morning person. I used to be a night owl, so it's kind of switching.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that used to be night owl thing. And finally, Aaron, complete this sentence. If I had it to do all over again, I would.
If I had to do it all over again, I would have started doing my IEP consulting earlier and stuck with it. Been doing it longer by this time.
Yeah, and been a bazillion